So what happens when a president reaches into the money supply with one hand and into a city's jury box with the other? This week, two stories shook the foundations of American governance, and most people probably missed them. First, President Trump is trying to fire a sitting member of the Federal Reserve Board, Lisa Cook. She's asking the Supreme Court to block the move. Now, why does this matter? Because the Fed isn't supposed to shift with political wins. Governors serve 14-year terms and can only be removed for cause, and that is by design, to insulate monetary policy from partisan control. If the court blesses a broad reading of removal power here, it weakens the guardrail that protects the Fed from day-to-day politics, and future presidents could exert pressure over interest rates and credit policy at the expense of market trust and economic stability. And then came the second blow. Trump signed a memo directing federal prosecutors in Washington, D.C. to seek the death penalty in all appropriate cases. But here's the thing, D.C. abolished capital punishment in 1981, and voters rejected it again in 1992, I think. To get around that, the memo encourages pushing homicide cases into federal court, where the death penalty still applies. It circumvents D.C.'s democratically chosen policy by shifting prosecution to a venue more aligned with the White House's agenda. And that raises serious questions, not just about home rule, but about the legitimacy of punishment imposed against the will of a local community. We've seen versions of this before. In 1833, President Andrew Jackson fired his Treasury Secretary for refusing to defund the National Bank. The Senate censured him the following year, and the fallout helped trigger a financial collapse just a few years later. Decades later, the Supreme Court upheld Congress's ability to limit presidential removal of independent commissioners, a principle that still anchors modern agency independence. And when it came to punishment, founding-era Judge James Wilson warned that a nation habituated to cruelty becomes dastardly and contemptible. In 2025, we're watching the slow erosion of institutional buffers, those fragile walls that once separated politics from prosecution and stability from strongman control. So here's the question. If the walls fall, what takes their place? Stability and consent, or fear and force? Let me know what you think in the comments, and watch for who might be prosecuted in D.C. that makes this order really critical to the administration.